How do we do this?
Don't dawdle.
Oh, man. Why'd you do another movie? Why'd you do another Lost Boys?
I'm an actor. It's my job.
Why'd
you write another story?
Something to do. But why Lost Boys in particular? Why are you continuing with that?
I figured it beats bagging groceries at Ralph's. What? It does.
It's got a point.
Well, first of all, we had to. We had no choice. The second one could have gone either way, but with this one we had to do it. And that's primarily because fans were so hugely disappointed with the tribe that we felt we owed it some due diligence, and we owed the fans the respect of trying to create the film that we felt that they would really want to see, and what the sequel probably should have been if we had the opportunity to do it right the first time. And hey, what do you know, we got the opportunity, so that's what we did.
So if somebody liked Lost Boys but didn't like the sequel, what are you going to tell them to bring them back to the third one?
It's a Return of the Frog Brothers. That's it. I mean, unfortunately, look, as far as I'm concerned, The Tribe wasn't a bad movie. If it was a movie in and of itself, it was all right. It was fun. It was entertaining. But it wasn't a Lost Boys movie. There were a few kind of tidbits, seeds, breadcrumbs, if you will, that connected the tissue between the two films. But this movie is an honest sequel, and I think that's what the fans were looking for. It's not only the Return of the Frog Brothers, but in the subtext there's many references, many scenes that are dictated by things that were set up and character storylines from the original film, and I think that's what makes a real sequel. So I'd say in the truest sense of the word, this is an honest sequel to the original film.
How is it and this is the first Lost Boys that will be solely focused on the Frog Brothers as opposed to them being supporting characters. How has that kind of changed production or just the general tone of the movie or anything like that?
Well, first being the key word.
Yeah.
Because from what I'm getting from the fans, and I try to keep a pretty consistent communication going with them, this is what they want to see. They want to see the Frog Brothers. They want to see the Frog Brothers battling in action. Yep. Against each other, side by side, doesn't really matter. The point is, I think everybody's just a little bit annoyed and perturbed in the vampire world these days with the soft, mushy.
I actually want to know your
hunky-dory.
Your take on the whole vampire pop culture craze,
Well, no, look, I like Twinkle. Whatever they call it. But the thing is, look, at the end of the day, sorry, we're playing footsies. At the end of the day, look, this vampire sensation is good for us. It's, the way I look at it, keeps us in business for two reasons. Number one, because it keeps the vampire craze out there. It's popular. It's pop culture. It's in society. It's interwoven right now. So it helps the franchise being vampires as a whole, number one. Number two, it creates this drive and this necessity for a real vampire movie. Yeah. Because let's face it, all these people are out there and they're kind of watching these movies and, putting on their neon and flashing around and having a great time. But they want to see bad guys versus good guys. That's what vampire movies are. It's having, the bad guy, the evil, the creature, as it were, and the good guy who's going to come and save the day. That's what we all want to see. We want to see some gore, some blood and guts, some scares, some jumps, some thrills.
It feels like it's been forever
yeah.
since there's been a scary vampire, like the Nosferatu and stuff. You just scare the hell out of people. And then
and I think that's our job. is to have some vampires that you really don't want to run into in a dark alley, and some heroes that you can actually get behind. Who are going to take care of business, and I'd say that's what the Frog Brothers do. We're here to reclaim our steak.
And the action, is the action a lot more? Is there a lot more vampire killing? A
lot more action, than the Twinkles or the Tribe? Both. Okay, yes. No, that's it. It's almost like, we up the ante so much in this, it's kind of like, if Rambo was a vampire movie, that's kind of what it is. There's this great array of weaponry that the Frog Brothers ascertain in this film, and and we use them quite efficiently, I would say. You know, as opposed to the first time around 25 years ago when we met the Frog Brothers, they were these adolescent kids who had big pipe dreams of being these, you know, audacious heroes and vampire hunters. In fact, they were scared kids who got their knowledge out of comic books,
Yeah.
and they were kind of playing the role. You
Yeah.
know, they were believing in their own minds that they were these heroes. And now we find them 25 years later, and they've been through hell. They've lost things that are dear to them. They've had real life, you know, losses, real life emotional losses in their lives. So we actually get to see these kind of war-torn heroes and what they've been through and how they've evolved to the point of where they are today, where, yeah, I mean, let's face it, Edgar Frog is pretty badass at this point because he's been through the gamut. You know, he's been confronted with life and death many times over, and he's not playing for, you know, child games anymore. He's playing for keeps.
With this, I wanted to talk about the trust movement. You've got these, you know,
Truth movement.
Truth movement.
Yes.
You've got all these concerts coming up, but you got to start cutting your jib as a lead man. You know, you say it took 20 years
Yeah.
to really get appreciated, but you started as a lead man with Rock and Roll High School Forever.
Yeah. Well, I actually
And-
started before
No,
that.
but I mean, but really, of us seeing
The first
really-
soundtrack I did was Dream a Little Dream.
So you do have you sang on that.
Yeah.
On the-
Well, it never made it to the soundtrack.
Okay,
album,
'cause that's one of my favorite
but you can
soundtrack
see it in the
albums.
video. In the video, we did the video with Michael Damian.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I actually recorded and created a song with Michael Damian. That was the first
That was the first
soundtrack thing I
you
did.
ever-
Yeah.
So in your trajectory of music, you're saying this is the most thing you've been, you know, proud of musically is the new work.
The new Truth Movement. Yes.
But like, where creatively was it? You know, you're starting from, you know, you said, you know, your first thing was on Dream a Little Dream, and you now you did the music in some of the music in Rock and Roll High School Forever as well,
Yes,
right?
all the music.
Those were actually your songs.
Right.
So you know, lyrically,
The
creatively,
evolution,
yeah,
is that
your
what you're
evolution,
asking?
your evolution.
Well, okay. I mean, basically, when I started, it was really about kind of like '80s pop rock because that's the time that I grew up, and so that was what was popular. So, as a solo artist, I was doing a lot of that kind of ear candy type stuff, and of course, I was best friends with Michael Jackson and Cyndi Lauper and people like that who were my influences. So that was the kind of stuff I was writing. But as I evolved as a musician and started taking the art form a little bit more seriously, my likes and interests grew, so I started becoming a huge fan of bands like the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Aerosmith, Billy Joel, you know, the real artists. And as a result of that, I made it my quest and my goal to not only try and write more proficiently and more in that direction, but to befriend these people and get their influences heavily induced in my life, which I was successful at doing. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to land the talent and help of great artists like John Caron from Pink Floyd, who's currently right now on tour
I was
with
wondering
Roger
about the,
Waters.
you know, there's a lot of synth influence in the album. So
Right.
it's,
Well, John's actually on the
Yeah.
album. He
Right.
co-wrote and co-produced 7
Okay.
of the songs. So we have John Caron from Pink Floyd. We have Scotty Page, who played sax for Pink Floyd for 3-4 years, and he's touring with us right now. Mark Caron, who is in Grateful Dead and Rat Dog and the other ones. So we have a lot of those classic rock guys who are honest, real, attributed artists contributing on this album. And then Storm Thurgeson, who did all of Pink Floyd's artwork through the years, Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Wish You Were Gary Animals, all of it has done our artwork and has done a beautiful
so
job.
not just for the album, for the big stage show, the big elaborate stage show.
Yeah, we have videos which incorporate his artwork. I mean, it's a big production. It's, you
Does
know,
any of it
laser
exist?
light show, multimedia.
Does any of it exist on the internet yet at all?
Is there footage in
Yeah,
here?
is there footage in
Yeah,
there?
if you go to YouTube, you can check out the sneak peek of the sneak peek of the Technology Analogy Live premiere, or just type in Truth Movement sneak peek OK, and the OK song, which is about a 12-minute song, just show a very nice clip of what we do on the live stage show. And that actually has John Caron from Pink Floyd, Scotty Page, everybody played on that show together. And I can tell you about the Lost Boys Ball. This is going to be a very unique and exciting event because not only is it an opportunity for fans of the genre of Lost Boys to get together in one place and celebrate by watching the movie together with me, but Truth Movement's going to do a full 1 hour show because the movie or the album is like a movie and it tells its own story. So basically, you're going to get both stories: the Lost Boys story, the Truth Movement story, and a sneak peek from the new movie, as well as a Q&A with some of the cast members, and everybody gets to come in costume. So it's a costume party, costume contest. You're part of the experience.
Rocky Horror
Yeah,
Picture Show.
exactly. It's a full 360 kind of experience, which has never been done before. Never in history has Live Nation and a studio come together to create
That's pretty cool.
an event
Is there
for the masses.
any Truth Movement tracks on the Lost Boys?
Yes, from the
okay.
new album.
Yeah,
So that's why
yep,
we're playing
okay.
the
So,
album.
okay.
It
From
all
the
is-
2008
all-
album, or more from an album that's
No,
forthcoming?
no, from the 2008 album.
Okay.
Should we make another Lost Boys sequel, which I hear is quite possible in the pipeline, then we would make a new Truth Movement album, put even more of the music in the film, and then really
So wait,
coincide
you would
those.
wait for the movie to happen before making another album?
Well, I think we'd probably be doing them simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
That'll be my next year.
I have one quick question. It's actually a bet question between a friend of mine who grew up in Astoria and was there when you guys were doing Goonies. I believe the Good Enough video that you guys were in was the catalyst for a music career. He believes Billy Ocean was for Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car.
For my career?
Yeah, I believe that when you were involved with Cyndi Lauper and the music that, I thought that's where he decided to get into music because she's cool. He believed it was Billy Ocean.
Both
Damn, that was worth $5.
I wasn't that big of a fan of the Billy Ocean song, and B, no, Cyndi Lauper video actually had nothing to do with it because I was already writing. I started writing at 11. Michael Jackson was very much the catalyst, but even more so, and this was surprising to all of you, my biggest catalyst in what started me as a writer was Weird Al Yankovic. Because as a writer, the first thing that I did, I was 10, 11 years old, and I'd be sitting in my room, and I would play a little tape recorder. I would take my tape recorder, record my favorite songs off the radio, and then really try to learn the phrasing and the lyrics and like how a song was structured. And the best example to me was Weird Al, because he would take these songs and kind of turn them into his own. So before I knew how to write my own songs, I took other people's songs and I turned them into parodies. And that was what taught me how to write verse, chorus structure, and timing and rhythm and all that sort of stuff.
He had already deconstructed to them, so you saw the elements and how he had done it.
Exactly. So that was actually my teacher.
I'm going to move you over to that table. If you guys want to glom over that way and piggyback on, let's do that.